up. Get ready. It's going to be a very, very intense journey.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Frameskip. I am one of your hosts for the evening, Elijah Steele, and with me is, I forgot to think of the nicknames I wanted to use, so Austin, Mario Kart Wii 140, Eller.
Oh man, what a throwback. That was my PSN ID for many years until they just allowed me to change it last year. So
why'd you change it? I would have held on to that until the day I died.
Oh, yeah. Right? George, you want to know the best part is Kart was spelled with a C, which is not even...
Yeah.
That's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah. That other wonderful... You're welcome. Anytime. That other wonderful voice you're hearing is George Mac Jones left?
A little early on the Mac Jones. I think I'm going to go George Jonnu Smith, maybe George Nelson Aguilar. I feel like you'd be happy with that.
The Animal Steel?
He's not on your team.
I mean, yes, but also he's not doing terrible, so like...
Yeah, he's really good on every team but the Eagles.
Yeah, exactly. That's not a fabrication at all. And he can catch balls.
Yeah, he got a lot of balls on Sunday for the Patriots. Thanks.
Yes, he did. And if it makes you feel any better, I bet $14 on the Dolphins winning.
That does make me feel better. If it makes you feel any better, if the Patriots didn't have three of the dumbest fumbles I've ever seen in my entire life, we would have won that game 32-16. So
I don't know though, because there were a lot of calls that were I'm like, that shouldn't have been made. But okay.
There was one fumble call where I think the guy clearly it was down before it was whatever. I don't want to relitigate the game. They lost by 1 point to a team that's supposed to have the best defense in the AFC East. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about the Patriots. Mac Jones, after his first pass attempt, which was awful, looked like a Mark Sanchez butt fumble, like 12% of the butt fumble play. After that, he looked really, really good. So feeling good about my new young QB. Just don't know if I want to adopt him as a nickname yet. So George Jonnu Smith for now.
I'm feeling good about my new young QB too.
Yeah, I would too. Him and Devonta
Smith looked so good. And we have the one and only Coach.
What's up, guys?
Nothing much. How about yourself? How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Your nickname for Coach actually looked really good against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they did.
Except for our defense.
Yeah, but the fact that your offense was able to keep up with the Super Bowl winning team, that's really impressive. Especially
the thing is, you got to remember too is Tampa Bay didn't have this explosive offense. You got to also remember Tampa Bay, they were a wild card. They played all of their playoff games on the road, so they got destroyed by the Saints twice. So the thing is, when people say you want to get hot at the right time, they got hot at the right time.
Yep.
That was a classic case of, okay, they got everything together and they were focused, and then they went in and took charge.
If you can figure out a way to make Scotty Miller look like Randy Moss, you're probably doing something right at the right time.
Oh, Scotty Miller. I will always have a soft spot for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was okay. I mean, like I said, our defensive line, Armstrong, who would be a backup on any other squad. He got his hand on Brady once, and that was it. So we're not going to win too many games when we don't pressure the quarterback.
He also has such a fast release on the ball. That dude barely holds onto the ball.
Yeah.
So sacking Brady is incredibly hard because you have to do it in the first 2.5 seconds.
At least you'll have Zach Martin back soon again.
Say again?
You'll have Zach Martin back soon, so that should help get Zeke going a little better too.
Yeah, but we also lost Lyle Collins too.
Yeah, true.
So, but I mean, it was good. It was a loss, so it's just dang it. So, but we got to win. We're going on the road. Chargers are a good team. Yeah. They got a good young quarterback. They got good coaching. So this will be a good test to see where we're at. But I have us looking at the schedule. I had us going 0-2 because we're on the road, and right now we don't win road games.
I'll say, coming out of this weekend, all three of my teams won. 2 of them in overtime, and one of them in one of the craziest overtimes I ever saw last night.
Wait, the Bengals and the Raiders are your 2 other teams?
Yes.
Ugh. Ugh. That's the grossest thing I've ever heard.
My best friend Nick can tell you, Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller have my heart. And like, I drafted Jacobs as a rookie, and Darren Waller I drafted before he became a thing because I'm like, yo, watch this. So like, they have my heart. So when Waller came out of last night with 19 attempted catches, wonderful. I love it. Love it. He's the man.
And you know what about last night's game is it has been a long time since ESPN had like a good high production value Monday Night Football game, because
That's very true.
As soon as they took it off ABC, man, they tanked. They're horrible.
Well, I mean, I have to be honest. I think every football game should be on Nickelodeon because that was pretty good last year.
That was great.
Those were fun. Also, like the Peyton and Eli commentary, like that was super fun on ESPN too. Like the Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, like it was just them talking over the game. That was a blast.
I heard about that, but I didn't get to see it at all.
They brought on Charles Barkley, who was just like, oh, come on, Eli, don't act like you don't know what it's like being booed at home. Like when he was talking about Derek Carr, he like said that to his face.
Oh my God.
And then they brought on like Ray Lewis, and then they brought on Travis Kelce. Like they just brought on so many people. Like it was literally them like in their living room. Like I think Peyton's in his basement and Eli's like in his garage. And they were just like streaming them watching the game and just like talking to each other about what's happening on the game. It's super fun.
That's amazing. But fellas, we are here to talk about some fresh, hot video games. So Austin, why don't we start off? What have you been playing?
All right, so I've been playing 2 games. I'll start with the new release, which is WarioWare Get It Together.
Yeah.
Which just came out at the time of recording a few days ago. So it'll be a week prior to those listening on Friday when this episode releases. But it's the new WarioWare game. I think it's the first one since, I want to say there was maybe one on the 3DS like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. And I've actually never played any WarioWare games. So this is my first time. I know vaguely what they are, where, you know, the old games. George, you probably know better than I do. I think you said you had maybe played some, but basically like you kind of just like do an action quickly on your controller or whatever it is. And, you know, you go from minigame to minigame very rapidly. And that's kind of how it works. From what I can tell, they changed the formula this time around. And I'm sure the big Wario fans out there listening probably already know this, but this game, instead of it being like, trying to figure out how to explain this to people that have never played it. If the old games, you just have like a prompt that comes up on the screen that's like, I don't know, for example, press A to pick nose hairs or whatever it is that's in the game. This game works a little differently because each mini game you use a character. So it's more so like instead of just pressing a button to do something, you actually have like a physical character on the screen that you have to move around to perform these actions. So like, the one that they showed a lot in the trailers was the toothpaste one, where you have to move your little Wario character and go to the little toothpaste and like basically push him into the packet to get it to squeeze out. And so stuff like that. There's like apparently over 200 mini games. There's some really cool ones that are like Nintendo references. There's just some really cool stuff in it. And I have to say, I mean, I'm really enjoying it. The only caveat that I'll put on this, though, is that I've only played it 2-player. So Andy and I are playing the whole thing split screen together because the entire game, the story, everything in the game is 2-player, which is awesome for us. I haven't played it at all single player yet, so I can't really comment how that is. But it's really, really good. The co-op's really, really good. I don't necessarily know that it would be worth the $50 price tag unless you're playing it like we are, you know, split screen. I'm not exactly sure how that carries over as far as like playing this game single player the whole time. I can't really comment on it, but I don't know. It's a great game, so I'm really enjoying it. It's good to have a new Switch game, that's for sure.
I remember when the first one came out on the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, that's the only one I've played. It's so good.
and that's the thing. Before the day of social media and all that stuff,
Yeah.
that game, I never played it because it just didn't seem like my thing. But it had a lot of hype. Like a lot of people said it was like more positive than any negative. So there's a big following for that series.
I think it helps that like that game sort of came out right as like Adult Swim started taking off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so it just felt like really, really like what is it, convergent evolutionary humor. Like they were both like happening at the same time, happening in their own sort of segments of the world, but like going forward in the same direction. Super fun. Like it just anytime I bring up Wario, my sister, who like always played as Wario in Mario Kart, she does one of two things. She always goes, "I'm gonna win," and then she goes, "Twirl the pasta," which was like a micro game from the Game Boy Advance WarioWare.
Right.
Like it just had such a lasting impression because it was like ridiculous, inane stuff that they would make you do in that game, and it was just so weird. It was such like a curveball out of nowhere.
Yeah. No, this new one is still super weird, and you know, on paper it might sound kind of strange as far as like, okay, this is a game where you're literally playing like these little kind of mini game things in the span of like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not for everybody. The thing I will say though is there is a demo on the eShop, so if you think this at all sounds interesting, just go try the demo and see how you feel. Again though, I think if you're into it and you have another person to play with, I think it's a really good purchase for Switch for split screen. So the only other game I wanted to talk about briefly though is Outer Worlds, which I jumped into early last week. I was just kind of looking around on my Series X and looking at Game Pass and what games were on there that I hadn't played yet. And Outer Worlds was on there, and it kind of piqued my interest because I was never super into like the Elder Scrolls games or Fallout. I had tried to get into Skyrim and I enjoyed it for what it was, but I think I kind of just beat the story and then left it there. And then when Fallout 4 came out, I was really excited for it because of the hype surrounding that game, and I got it and I was kind of like, yeah, okay, this is fun for a while. And I was kind of disappointed at the end. I think a lot of people were with that game, but I was in the mood for that style of game. And so I jumped into Outer Worlds, and man, I love that game. That game is really, 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 really good.
That's like the best Bethesda game.
Seriously.
Like, seriously. It's really, really special.
It's, I mean, it's exactly what I was expecting Fallout 4 to be. And that's a really good thing because that game had so much hype behind it. And like I said, I was pretty disappointed by that game in the end. And so I'm just completely sucked into it right now. I'm really enjoying the way that the companion system works and looks great on Series X, by the way. It got a next gen upgrade, so it's 4K 60 frames and like instant loading, of course. And so it's a really good time to play it. And I just can't put it down. So I'm excited to dig into it more.
I really want to replay that because like at the time I'm not going to say speed ran it, but I had like so many games coming out right at the same time to the point where in one weekend, like I beat that on a Friday, I beat another game on a Saturday, and I beat another one on a Sunday. And so I didn't take my time with it. So I really want to go back and actually do more in it. I want to play the DLC. I enjoyed the game enough that I really want to go back into that world.
Also, it's like a 20, 25 hour game. I think you could do it faster than that, like Elijah, like you were saying. But
it's
like,
not that long.
It's pretty awesome that it's like, okay, we're gonna give you this really comprehensive, established world that feels pretty lived in, feels a lot older than it is just in terms of like its own like self-created history. And we're not going to waste a single second of your time doing it. It's really incredibly well designed.
And that's like, I enjoy games like, you know, Fallout, the Elder Scrolls and that, but they're always just way too long for my taste. And that made Outer Worlds just fantastic.
Yeah. And the story is actually interesting. And I find, I don't know, something about this type of game, I never really find like the side quests that interesting and stuff, but I'm actually like really enjoying kind of the character building and world building in this game. The side quests are really, really good. I think it's a great game, and you should definitely check it out if you have Game Pass.
Well, that and the progression where it's like it lets you like advance your character, but at the cost of like a flaw. Where like, okay, you can do this, but you're like really scared of robots now. You know, like it does all this stuff where like you actually feel like you're playing a role,
right?
More than I do in traditional Bethesda. Like, because like Bethesda, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm sorry, but it doesn't. Like, if you choose a Nord at the beginning of the game versus a Dark Elf, it doesn't matter what you do in that game. You
And I
spend
have to say,
100 hours being an archer, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm bored of this. I want to try magic. And then you
Right.
go from being like the Archer of Legend to being Dumbledore. Like, it doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah.
the only other thing I'll say is that I love the humor in the game, and it's like pretty subtle. But like today, for example, I unlock the robot that's sitting in your ship that you can have as a companion, and he just like runs around like spewing acid on people, and they just start melting. And it's like, this is the most ridiculous, hilarious situation, and I love it. So I'm really excited for the second one after playing this.
George,
but that's it for me.
What about yourself? What have you been playing?
I played one game on Sunday from about 1 p.m. until about 11:30 p.m. And it's called Fantasy Football. Just kidding. I mean, that's 100% true.
In my mind, I was thinking, wait, you didn't watch football?
No, I did play fantasy football. Elijah and I might record just like a one-off fantasy football just to see if anyone actually cares. Because I'm willing to bet no, but we do. So that's enough for us.
Absolutely.
Now, 2 games that I've played that I want to talk about. I finally took the plunge. Everyone here has been talking about it so much. I downloaded Final Fantasy 14 on my PlayStation 5,
buddy.
and I gave it a go. And I'm going to keep playing it, but I'm not going to enjoy it. There's just something so archaic about MMOs, like just the design space of MMOs that I don't understand the appeal to. And it really feels like everyone's like, oh, but the end game content is so good. I'm like, yeah, but that's like 45 hours away. And like, I think we talked about this before, where it's just like, dude, you got to watch this TV show. It gets really good in season 5. You're like, cool. So I just have to watch 4 years of not great TV show to get to the part that you think I might like. Okay, cool. What's 80 hours of my life to get to that point? Screw it. You know, like it just feels like that with MMOs. I will say the game is absolutely gorgeous, especially for the scale it's operating at. The music is phenomenal. And it's oddly satisfying combat in the game. It is a completely thoughtless game at this point. I don't care for the story at all. I barely understand it. But it's a perfect podcast game. Just gonna sit here and listen to NBA off-season podcast and try to psych myself up for them Celtics, who are gonna win it all this year.
It's definitely, I mean, the story in the base game, especially that like starting half, is like a complete just snooze fest. Mm-hmm. But it definitely gets a lot better, and I've only played through the first expansion, and I've heard that the other 2 expansions have a great story too. But
and the first expansion story is amazing as it is.
Yes, it is.
I'm sure it is, but it's just like MMOs just seem so boring. Like DC Universe Heroes, whatever that game is called, like that
DC Universe Online.
Yes, that's the one.
DCUO,
that one couldn't get me in. Elder Scrolls Online, I like bought every expansion as it was coming out, and I would like roll a new character with each expansion and be like, maybe this time it's on sale for $15. Maybe this time I'll enjoy it. Never did. And so it's just like these things that like I feel more of an attachment to than Final Fantasy couldn't do it. So I'm just kind of like waiting for the bottom to fall out with this one.
I'm going to tell you all a story that I have never once told to another living being regarding an MMO, and only 2 other people know about this. So I was trying Star Wars The Old Republic, and I was playing with Chris from work, and I think Seth it was. And I had and this was at the time I didn't really know anything about MMOs too much, and we were fighting a few guys. I'm like, all right, I'm going to run in here and see what we have in here. And they're like, no, don't. And the boss fight starts.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Leroy Jenkins.
I've never told anybody else about that story.
But Elijah, what's horrible is I've seen that happen in Final Fantasy 14, and I've literally seen the Leroy Jenkins thing where you're in a 24-person raid and one guy runs in, and then the other 23 people are locked out, and he's just sitting there fighting this boss.
Did you know that they made it so if somebody starts to fight and you're out of it, it has a button teleport to fight?
Oh, nice. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it
That's
stops
awesome.
that from happening if
Just because of Leroy. It's the Jenkins rule.
Yep.
Yeah.
my favorite is I think it was the cover for The Last Jedi, where the cover has like the one X-wing in front of the bunch of the ships, and then at the bottom it just says Leroy Jenkins.
However you feel about The Last Jedi, that poster is awesome. That is such a sick one.
So true. Underrated movie.
So I'm gonna spend more time with Final Fantasy 14, but again, I'm not gonna like it, but I'm gonna do it just because I'm getting kind of over Splitgate, so I need something else to just I don't know what to play. I might as well play this.
You mean
let me ask you this: your time is valuable, right? And I'm sure, well, of course it is. Everybody's time is valuable. Yeah. And I'm sure you're working and you got this new house. So you got, honeydew projects galore, right? So you have a little bit of time to game. Why are you gaming? Why are you playing a game that you know that you're not going to enjoy?
Mostly because of beer and insomnia. Some mixture of those two together. It's my little Molotov cocktail for late night gaming.
Okay.
I actually understand that well because, and I'll just talk about it in my section briefly, but I had a game recently that I played through and got the platinum for that I wasn't super fond of, but it was a great podcast or Hulu game.
Yeah. That's a big part of it too. Also, video games in general just calm me down. When I'm super anxious, anything with actionable goals that I can meet without too much high octane situation. Just the amount of quests they give out in Final Fantasy and completing them in within 3 minutes of getting it, that's oddly satisfying. So I'm not saying that I don't enjoy everything about it, but it seems incredibly slow. And also I made my character that hot cat lady. And then I jumped into the world and there's just a million hot cat ladies. And I'm like, oh man, I'm no better than anyone else here. Should have made a fat person. Should have made a fat dude with a beard.
I'm a really tall fellow with horns.
That sounds cool too.
Yeah.
The other game I played, only a little bit of, I just completed the first area, but I got so excited for Psychonauts 2 that I added Psychonauts to my list of 3 games I want to try when Austin and I made that dumb promise to each other a couple months ago that I held up and he did not. No. I played the first Psychonauts, and this is the first time I got actively mad at PlayStation because I've played original Xbox games on my Series X, on my Xbox One. Apologies. And they look great. They look phenomenal. They look like how I remember the game looking. I'm playing a PlayStation 2 game on PlayStation 4, and it looks like butt. This is the first time I've been oh man, this is not a good looking game. This runs kind of janky. Whereas I play Star Wars Battlefront 2 on my Xbox One all the time, and that game runs better than it ever did on the original hardware, looks better than it ever did on the original hardware. They actually set up a situation for older games to succeed in a way that PlayStation just doesn't care about.
Yeah, because didn't they do where all the older games get an up-res and all this different stuff? Yeah.
And I assume a frame rate boost. And I'm gonna play this on PlayStation because I want that platinum trophy. But man, I wish Sony cared a little bit more about old games.
You and me both.
Yeah. But that's me. Those are my 2.
Good games. Coach, how about yourself?
Got my first platinum.
Yeah, ooh, buddy. Proud of you.
My first one. And I was focused too. So real quick, I started playing Spider-Man about 2 months ago. Then when school started, maybe it was even a little bit longer than that. But once teachers went back to school for 5 weeks, I didn't play. So then I'm okay, I'm going to jump back into this game. But, and I was at the point where all hell breaks loose, right? In that point towards the end. And I'm you know what? Let me just start over again. And let me really learn the battle system, all of the moves. So I did that, and then I had a strategy, and before you know it, I had a majority of the trophies, and I wasn't that far away. And then just last weekend, I'm doing it. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I was able to, and I didn't go quickly because I kept doing what I have been doing the way that my strategy, but I was able to play for like 5, 6, 7 hours each day. So I was able to get the platinum, and then, and so now I'm going through the DLC, and I just beat the second season, I guess you could say, the one with Hammerhead. So now I'm about to go up against Sable, which I'm sure, like, this DLC is no joke. They throw everything at you. Like these dudes, well, they had the dudes with the whips in the first one, but now they'll throw like 2 dudes with whips, and then you'll have like 4 of those dudes that are on those jetpacks and the shield.
Oh God,
bro.
Dude, those like stupid like Sable agents or whatever they're called, the ones with the jetpacks. I freaking hate those guys.
Those weren't that bad because they didn't have that shield. It's these mafia guys that have that shield that they'll just like, you'll be throw someone in the air and you're fighting out of nowhere. They'll just knock, you won't even see them. So, but yeah, I love the game. It's one of my favorite games. I'd say it's a top 5 game. For me. So yeah. And then when I get to Kuwait, which we report in 3 weeks, but when I actually get into country, I'll start Miles because I'm going to have my PS5 shipped out to me.
All right, buddy.
So I think you're going to platinum Miles, but here's a heads up about the platinum with Miles. Okay. You got to play the game on New Game Plus to get the platinum. So what I suggest you do is I suggest you start Miles, you finish Miles, you take your time, you enjoy the scenery, right?
Okay.
And then you play Astrobot as like a little palate cleanser. And then you take like a day or 2 off, and then you go through, you can beat Miles Morales if you know what you're doing, if you have the powers. And I think on New Game Plus, you can like skip all the cutscenes and stuff.
Most of them, yeah.
You can bang that out in like 5 hours. So like that's just like okay, I'm just going to sit here, catch up on stuff like Elijah and I were saying earlier. Yeah, like the Hulu podcast game, just like something to do. Or if it's just like...
But I read that it's like a 1 playthrough.
No, there is a trophy for beating the game on New Game Plus.
Yeah, so you do have to beat it twice.
I think 1 full playthrough of me getting every single trophy except for the one being on New Game Plus was like 9 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't read that. I didn't know you had to do that. But I mean, I looked at like the AAA games that were relatively easy to platinum.
Mm-hmm.
I also the Jedi Fallen Order I heard is a rather easy platinum to get. Horizon Zero Dawn, even though it takes 50 hours, that's a relatively easy one. So I went and picked up some games. I got
oh, you got the bug, man. You got the platinum bug.
I am so proud of you. Like, you have no idea.
Bro, deep down, I got OCD bad, and my students call me out. And so once I was focused on getting that trophy, that platinum, and I got it, I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's see. What are some of the other...
Ghost of Tsushima is
yes, I picked up that
one.
Yeah, I picked up that one.
They said that shortly.
They said that was an easy plat. And then and of course I had Ratchet and Clank. So
that one's awesome. That one's so much easier to platinum than the PS4 one.
Oh, you mean the remaster one?
Yeah, Rift Apart is so much easier of a platinum because like I had to play Ratchet and Clank PS4 like several, like I think I had to play through the campaign like 5 times to get the platinum. Like I got so annoyed by the end of it.
So you mean the 2016 one?
Yeah, because you have to like level up all the guns.
Yes.
Like, I think in Rift Apart, you just have to level up a couple.
Okay.
All the way.
Because I remember looking at the trophy list just to see. I'm like, oh hell no.
Yeah.
And I think you have to beat it on the hardest level too, right?
Yeah, that's pretty easy once you level up your guns, though.
Right.
Well, Coach, only 112 more platinums, and you'll be caught up to me.
I'm not in a race.
Only 70 more, and then you're caught up to me. I think I still can hit 100 by the end of the year. That was originally my goal.
You absolutely can.
I'm not going to compromise my gaming library.
I was going to say, you don't You easily can. You just don't get a say in what games you have to play.
Yeah.
George, did you platinum Sound Shapes 3 times? Did you do that?
I did not, because
You can't do it the easy way anymore.
Yeah.
Really?
You have to platinum it 3 individual times now.
Why?
Because they disbanded like the server, so you can't just sync your save.
Okay. Well, I did it the way where I platinumed it once and got 2 more platinums for free.
Yeah, I think Sound Shapes might be my fastest platinum.
Oh yeah, 2 seconds.
It was like 6 seconds or something like that for all of them to pop. Yeah.
And I tried doing that with Ghost of Tsushima. Sorry to step on your toes. I know you're about to talk about it, but I like loaded up the wrong save file on PlayStation 5, so like 70% of the trophies popped, and then it just stopped. I was like, "Where's the platinum? Where's the platinum?" So it's gonna say like Ghost of Tsushima. Like it's not gonna be like platinumed in 1 minute. It's gonna be like platinumed in 12 minutes because I had to like go back on the cloud and like
Get a
figure out.
different save.
Yeah. I actually had to go like find my PlayStation 4, plug it back in, upload that save because like I played it for like 10 hours at the end, so I didn't upload the save at the end because I'm like, well, I beat it. Like, what's the difference? And then I had to like reinstall the game or find the game on the consoles, upload the save, and then download it again. It was pretty funny.
So I'll go next with what games I've been playing, considering I'm the last one, so that makes actually pure sense. So as we just mentioned, I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima. I said it before, I'm not the biggest fan of the game. Like, I felt by the end of the game, like, I'm glad it's over. Actually, for the longest time, like, I'm not going to even try to get the platinum because I just don't really want to spend the time in it. But lately, I have found it is the perfect... I'm rewatching The League on Hulu.
Nice.
So pop that on and just pop on Ghost of Tsushima and start going down the checklist. And
famed Mongolian invader Shiva Kamini Kama Soma Kram. Yeah.
So I went from having like 30% of the trophies because there are so many added ones now to now I have 86% of the trophies, and I have every single player trophy in the game, including replaying the game on New Game Plus.
Damn.
Which it only took me like 6 hours because I just rushed through it. But yeah, that is the perfect just podcast game. But I am excited for a couple of us to jump into Legends because the one big thing I have to give the game is the gameplay itself is great. So just the Ghost of Tsushima gameplay, hanging out with my bros, and
it's really funny you say that.
Them.
Because I feel like a lot of people criticize gameplay the most, where they were just like, "Yeah, this feels like a PS2 game," and in my head, I'm like, "Yeah, man, that's why I like it." Because the combat was a little clunky, I will totally admit that. I thought it was great, but
it's like a weird complaint to me. I don't know. Maybe I just like adore that game, but I love the gameplay in that game. I really like the combat, and
I think gameplay's great.
I could see that complaint maybe a little bit as far as like the PS2 thing. Although I know a big complaint a lot of people had was there was no lock on for your targets. And I know that they did add that in. So at least that's there now. But yeah, that's such a good game. The nice thing, so I found out single player, you can't upload to PS5 and then go back to the PS4 version. But Legends, you can. Because it's like a separate save file kind of thing. And I think it's because they're adding that like Legend standalone. Right.
And I think it's because of that. But Legends, you can go between PS4 and PS5 all the time.
Cool.
So I got all the single player stuff. So now I'm ready to jump into the PS5 one. Watch that plat pop in under a minute.
How long was is it Ichi Island? How long was that DLC? Do you remember?
Ichi Island took me probably, I'm gonna say like 7-8 hours, if that. The main story was like 3, and then it was just going around
exploring.
Yeah. There wasn't a whole lot of like there was one more shrine where you have to like Nathan Drake around to it. One of the newest things is Animal Sanctuaries, which is almost like a rhythm game where how in a like game like Rock Band, that when you're singing it'll show the pitch and you have to like change. Basically you have to do that, but just you have like a dot that you have to like bring up and down as the like note flows for the instrument.
You do that with the microphone on the controller?
No, you just do it with like a thumbstick.
Okay.
But it just, you keep that in as like the note flows or whatever, and then like a kitty comes up and you pet it, or a deer, just a weirder one. But yeah, that was just a good Hulu game. I got the platinum in it finally, and all I have left is the legend stuff. Now, the 3 games I did want to talk about originally, quickly, Lost in Random, which recently came out. It looks like Tim Burton the game, like one of his stop motion movies got turned into a game. It's really fun. It's really charming. There are definitely some problems with it. Like, I keep forgetting there's no jump button. And like it keeps tripping me out, especially in combat. But mainly the combat deals with you throw a die, there's cards involved. It's honestly, I'm terrible at describing it because I tried to describe it to someone already and I'm like, I can't do that. But it's quirky. It's nice. It's very charming is the perfect word I can give. Like the last boss part of the fight was a rhyme battle. And it's like, okay, I don't know where this came from, but I like it. The 2 main games I do want to talk about, though, is I played through in Platinum Life is Strange True Colors. This game is easily on my Game of the Year list and is easily my favorite Life is Strange. I thought it was fantastic. So many of the characters in the game are fantastic, like super well written, super well characterized. I like walking through, I'm like, I want to be friends with you. I want to be friends with you. I have a crush on you. I want to be friends with you. Like, it does such a good job of humanizing these characters in a way Life is Strange I don't think has done before. And the story had me the whole time because it's one of those, at the end of chapter 2, you're like, I know what's going on, but I don't know why. And I even got mostly a bad ending because people didn't believe me. And I'm like, oh no, I don't know how this is going to turn out. And at first I was like, all right, this ending kind of sucks, honestly. And then the way it ended, I'm like, all right, you got me. I'm in. Fine. That was great. So that is pretty high on my Game of the Year list, and I highly recommend it. I may or may not have cried a couple times. But the main game that blew me away, and I didn't expect this, is The Medium. It is a horror game from Bloober Team that came out this year. It actually released on Xbox Series S and X in January. And it's actually very reminiscent of a Silent Hill game, I would say. And it's very narrative driven. There's no like combat. There's kind of some things you can do to like stave off attacks, but it is much more puzzle based. Not quite a like fixed camera angle, but it is a fixed camera. So you don't control the camera. Like as you're walking, the camera will move along with you and it'll stop at certain parts. And it's very much like that. The music is amazing. And I streamed the whole thing. And at the end, I was saying, this game really makes me think of Silent Hill, especially the music. And I look it up. One of the 2 main composers of the game was the composer of all the Silent Hill games. And there are 2 vocalists on the album, Mary McGuinn and Troy Baker. And when you go back to Silent Hill HD collection on PS3 and 360, Troy Baker did the voice of the main character in Silent Hill 2, and Mary McGuinn did the voice of his wife. So like there is Silent Hill vibes all over the entire soundtrack.
That's amazing.
So originally, before I played it, I thought the whole like switching dimension thing you could do on a whim. You can't, but it's really neat the way it's set up because it'll show both dimensions like side by side, and the character looks the exact same. So like is doing the same thing. So in the world, like a staircase might be right here, and you'll see a staircase in the other world, but it's all like brown and like distraught and everything. It's really neat the way it's done. And then especially in cutscenes, because it'll show again the character is doing the exact same thing in the real world and the other dimension, And it's really neat the way it's done, especially at the end of the game. I was sat there just like mind blown. And I was so hooked on this game. It is my game of the year. And I had no expectations for that going into it. I just thought, I'm excited to play this. I like Bloober Team. It beats Resident Evil for me. I loved it. I cannot recommend that game enough.
I definitely want to play it. And it's awesome now that it's on PS5 now as well, obviously. So,
and one of the cool things it does is it utilizes the DualSense, where at one point you're walking in the rain, and it's the same thing as Returnal, where you can feel every raindrop on the controller. And then doing different things with like your powers in the other world will affect how tough the triggers are, or that it's very well done. It's not over the top, but it's there. And that game's just incredible. I can't recommend it enough. And on Xbox, it's on Game Pass. So, yeah. Play that
Coach,
game.
awesome. What are you waiting for? Play that game.
Yeah.
I need to, for sure.
It is very narrative based. That's one thing I want to make clear.
Also, so, you like narratives? You got glasses.
I'm actually going to do my first full video review since last year, and I'm doing it on the Medium.
Nice.
Awesome, man. Looking forward to that.
I even imported the soundtrack on vinyl from Europe.
Nerd alert. That's really cool. I'm trying to remember the last time I got like that smitten with a game. Like, I'm a little jealous. I'm trying to remember the last time like a game just like had me a hook, line, and sinker the way the Medium has you.
I beat the game, and the next day I'm like, well, I should go back to Ghost of Tsushima and continue. I just want to play more Medium. I can't. It's over. But I want more.
I know the last time. It was Control a few months ago.
Okay.
So good.
Coach, when was the last time a game just had its hooks into you, and it was all like it consumed you, is all you could think about?
Coach George just asked you a question.
What'd you ask, George?
I said, when was the last time a game had its hooks into you to the point where it was all you could think about?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man? Okay.
And then before that, probably Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Austin, please keep that pregnant pause in there.
Yeah.
I
that wasn't a pregnant pause. That was just like a...
Oh, no. That was a pregnant pause, as we all just stared at Coach.
That wasn't a pregnant pause. He didn't know what was going on. A pregnant pause like implies like deliberate. Like,
yeah.
it's
Coach had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so good.
I'm just trying to catch up on the showcase, that's all.
Speaking of the show, that was all I had for games. Speaking of the showcase, this past week, PlayStation showed off their PlayStation Showcase 2021, which is, for all intents and purposes, basically what was their E3 show.
Mm-hmm.
It's where they show off all their like big hitters, where we see stuff I didn't expect to see, and I'm like, maybe it was too early, but that's where they show it off. So we're going to go over from top to bottom, T to B, and just, we will, if anybody wants to chime up on any of them, just let me know, raise your hand, make your screen bump up and down, whichever. But we'll go through and see what the show had to say. We'll start off with what, honestly, for me, was probably the biggest announcement of the whole thing, even though we kind of knew about it, but it was nice to see. George, why don't you tell us a little bit about that very first thing they showed off?
Oh man, it is a beautiful little teaser trailer for Knights of the Old Republic remake.
The hit 2020/2021 thing, adding the word remake to your game title.
It was so ugly, like the font selection they did.
I agree.
For the word remake. Knights of the Old Republic looked great. Also, Darth Revan in HD graphics looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
really
he
forward
does.
to this. What they need to change the game to make it good, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because the game's not good. Like, the game's like a great story, but it's not like a good game.
Like mechanically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they need to basically like, bro, bring it up. Like if you're gonna do this, like make it 5th edition. Like you gotta upgrade your your D&D rule book that you're playing off of. If not, just change it outright. I don't necessarily want it to be an action game. I don't think that's as interesting as a role playing game. But like, I don't know. I think they did like D&D either 2nd or 3rd edition. I just didn't care for it very much.
Yeah.
So is it confirmed at all that this is like a timed exclusive or anything?
From what I hear, it's timed. Okay. I don't know how much time, but from what I hear, it is timed.
That's a huge get, though. Still.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, they kind of have to do this now because Xbox just bought so many third-party developers that, like, okay, we need to start buying exclusives. Like, just to, like, give your first-party studios a break. Like, just thinking about it, like, in terms of football, where it is, like, all right, we're gonna rest this running back on 3rd down, so you need to go in and like get us those 2 yards. You know, like they are treating it like that. So locking up third-party exclusives is really smart, since Microsoft just claimed half of the roster off the goddamn waiver wire.
One big thing I want to say quick is everyone always brings up, especially like when PlayStation bought Housemarque and that PC porting studio. And most recently, Firesprite, is everyone's like, everyone was mad when Xbox did it. Now PlayStation's doing it. PlayStation is buying studios that has worked with PlayStation for like 20 years. The people who run Firesprite, half of that team was from PlayStation Liverpool.
Yeah.
Like these teams have worked with PlayStation almost exclusively for like 20 years. Bethesda has made multi-plat games for the last 15 years. That's the big difference.
There's a difference, yeah.
I like that's the only reason it didn't even like I'm not big on Bethesda games, so it's not like it upset me that much. I'm just like, these are a bunch of multi-plat games that are now stuck on one family of consoles. That was the only thing about me. But like everybody was saying about the Firesprite thing, oh, PlayStation's buying studios now too. Yeah. Firesprite got their start by making PlayStation games. They've made one game that has come to other consoles.
It's weird though, right? Because it's one of those things like Spider-Man shouldn't be a Sony thing. It should be on every platform. It really should. But a Sony developer made it. As opposed like the new Indiana Jones game shouldn't be an Xbox exclusive, but it's going to be because machine games. You know, so like there needs to be like a prisoner of war exchange or something, you know, like a little treatise that happens between them where they.
With Indiana Jones, it's not completely known though, because if you think about it, the deal was in place before the studio was bought. So like, is part of that deal that it comes out on everything? We just don't know yet. Like that's complete unknown. I can see it both ways. Like I can see an argument for both sides of
it. All right.
Next up, we have a game that I'm very, very curious about, Project Eve, which looks like almost like a Bayonetta style Platinum game.
Yeah, it looked awesome.
Yeah, with like a little too much ray tracing.
So much ray tracing.
Like just a little too much for my taste. But yeah, it looks pretty good.
Again, not much is known. Apparently it was like first announced like a year or two ago, but they didn't really show almost anything. This was the first time we saw a bunch of gameplay.
The game looked gorgeous, man. I don't care for action games like that, but like that is a hugely compelling game to me. Just in like it looks so fluid. It looks so pretty. I gotta check this out.
The eyes on the creature had eyes. You have me.
And it's a Korean developer too, which is kind of interesting.
Yes.
You don't really see too many Korean developed games.
Shift Up Games is the company. The next thing they showed off was Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which the best thing about this trailer was Baby Metal. I'll just say that.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like,
I was shocked.
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. All right. Yeah, sure. It's more Borderlands. Like, oh, wait, Baby Metal? All right. I'm watching this trailer.
I was not expecting that at all. I was so excited when I heard that.
It looks like Borderlands.
So
it's Borderlands.
Elijah, I haven't really looked into this game at all. Is it basically the same as Borderlands? Like, is it still going to be 4-player co-op and work the same way?
That's what's expected.
Okay.
They made it clear that it's not a Borderlands game.
Right.
a while ago. And when you watch this trailer, it's a Borderlands game.
Yeah.
But it's basically going off of the best DLC Borderlands ever came out with.
Okay.
Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep was super fun and I loved it. That's the biggest thing for me with this game. Like Borderlands 3, I haven't played more than like an hour of.
We should play
But
that.
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, I'm super interested in because of that. Also, yes, we should.
Because I think I bought it to play with everyone and then I never played it.
Yeah. I even bought all of the DLC.
Yeah.
Cool. You guys should also play Borderlands 2 with me on PlayStation 4. Gotta get
I'm in.
that.
Okay.
Gotta get that
I'm
platform.
in.
I'll do it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm still looking for people to play the multiplayer in Sackboy Big Adventure with.
Oh, hey. What's
I'll
up, buddy?
also do that.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch that beautiful log carrying back. Yeah, that one.
Take my shirt off quick.
Please. Your sweater's still on. Oh, no.
The next game we have is Forspoken from Square Enix. This game looks great. I'm
It
in.
does.
I'm sold. Like I'm digging the main character. I'm digging the scenario. And someone mentioned that like they felt like her dialogue when she's learning how to use these powers and that was like generic. I'm like, okay, but tell me, if you found out you could use your mind to do powers, you wouldn't be like, oh my god, I can do freaking powers with my mind. I'm like, I don't care if it's generic. That's what someone would say.
Yeah.
I think it looks great. The combat looks fun. I'm in.
This was the game that was Project Athia, right?
Yes.
Okay. This game looks awesome, and like most impressive to me was like the verticality of the game.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it goes so high, it goes so low, and plus like it's Gary Whitta, right? Writing
Gary
it?
Whitta,
Yeah, and Amy Hennig.
Like it's just got like an
Todd
all-star
Stashwick.
cast. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sold on it.
And it's got to be honestly one of the most like next gen looking games I've seen so far.
So
Because
true.
like you look at it and like the particle effects in this game are insane.
Oh god,
Like kind of the smoke and like ash and that's a game I definitely will be purchasing.
Speaking of games I'll definitely be purchasing, next up was Alan Wake Remastered.
Hell yeah.
I love Alan Wake. I love it. It's so good. I like Control, don't get me wrong, Control is still my favorite Remedy game. Alan Wake, amazing game. Highly, highly recommend it. And we're getting it finally on PlayStation consoles for the first time. Upgraded on Xbox. The screenshot shown off, it looks much better. I can't wait to play it at 60 frames per second, which I'm guessing it's going to have.
Yeah, it is.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. I also found out there's a novel of Alan Wake that I'm totally getting. Because why not? He's a writer. It's a
That's
novel
what Alan
about
would
a
have
writer.
wanted. Yeah.
Also,
That's such
even
a cool
better,
thing.
when you look up, you know how every book will have like an about the author section? The about the author on the book Alan Wake says, so-and-so is the title of the 21 book Alan Wake. So that just, I got a kick out of that. Yeah, Alan Wake is just fantastic. Everyone play it.
And October 5th. That's like so soon.
So soon.
Like 3 weeks away. So no, I can't freaking wait for that game. And I think my understanding is it's only going to be $30, which is like a great price point for that. And so
honestly, whether it would be it would probably be a crappy thing to do it, but honestly, if they said, "Hey, this game is $60," I'd be like, "Okay."
Oh yeah. I'd still buy it.
Yeah. Well, it's like House of Ashes is $30, and I pre-ordered the collector's edition for $60 because I'm like, that's the price of a normal game, and I love these games, so you know what? I'm gonna do it. Next up, we have the game that doesn't stop ever. Grand Theft Auto 5 coming to next gen.
Oh.
Grand Theft Auto 5 was good. Like, I'm not going to say that it wasn't good, but it was good in 2013 when it came out. So, like...
I'll even give it credit, like, 2015, when we were playing it online together. We had a blast.
Yeah, on the PS4 version, yeah.
Yeah. It's 2021. It's coming out in
George,
2022.
were you ever into the online in that game at all, George? Did you ever
Never
get into
touched
that? Yeah.
See, with friends, I love the online. It's the only thing about that game I like. I think the single player, absolute trash. I think it's a terrible single player game.
The only thing, I wish the driving weren't so simulation-y. Like, if it were a bit more arcadey and like a bit more fun, then that game would be perfect. But like, the times that game decides to take itself seriously is just off-putting to me. Like, it's just not what I want to do.
The two times I will forever remember our online escapades are Seth not being able to land a plane, as for 15 minutes we're there flying planes listening to Danger Zone. And the other time is when we're playing survival and you just hear really loud, Chester's down!
That game has some great background dialogue.
Like, I
So good.
playing online with friends, that game is great. I wouldn't do it again in a heartbeat. But let the game go.
Yeah,
but the thing is like, not to play devil's advocate, but if they're still making money on
they're making a ton of money. They have no reason.
Right.
It's still a top seller every month.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
that Mario Kart 8.
Just remake Vice City, man. Come on, just do it.
I heard rumors
supposedly remasters are coming, but I would have thought they would have gotten announced here, honestly.
Yeah.
But what did get talked about next is Ghostwire Tokyo. I'm in on this game.
Yeah, looks fun.
It looks like if you're a magic user in Elder Scrolls, but set in modern day haunted Tokyo.
And you know what it's like? That game Breakdown on the original Xbox. The game's incredible.
I remember you playing that and you talking about it. And I'm like, I want to check that out.
Yeah, you gotta play. If you have an Xbox, you gotta play that game. It's so weird. It's so good.
Also, isn't it backwards compatible?
Yeah, it's on Xbox One. Yeah. No, like Ghostwire Tokyo, I was not into it when they first announced it. I didn't care. Seeing this trailer, I think I'm in. Like, I think I'm all in.
I constantly am. What's the word I'm looking for? Cautiously optimistic, because I really like that studio. I've liked all their games that they've released so far, all 2 of them. But I've really liked them, so I was going in cautiously optimistic, and this trailer pretty much sold me on it. Haunted Tokyo right there. It looks the really first thing to get me in. Next up, they showed another trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy, which is becoming the Deathloop of Square Enix.
That's not true. Deathloop looks good.
So with this game, you don't have to purchase Avengers, correct? It's a standalone game.
There's a completely standalone game, single player. It's its own thing.
It'll be interesting to see the reviews. And if it gets good reviews, then I could see myself picking it up just because I love those characters so much. It's the first Guardians of the Galaxy brought me back into the MCU because I just got so burnt out. I'm like, I'm out. And then I just by chance, I'll go see Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm like, okay, I'm back in. So it'll be interesting to see how the gameplay of this game is when it releases.
I love you, James Gunn. Yeah, I'm very interested in it. I'm not going to get it right away just because I cut down on what games I'm getting these next couple months. But that was on my list of, I'll grab that.
I feel weird saying I'm the biggest comic book fan on this podcast because I know all you guys like comics. Like, I don't want to take that. I think there's I'm willing to make an argument as to how much I love comics. That said, I don't care about this game at all. Like, I just don't. It's not moving the needle at all for me. I think it looks really boring.
Yeah, I can also completely understand that.
Something about the gameplay to me kind of looks a little off. So I'm curious how it's going to hold up once it's out. I mean, I'm still excited for it. I think the characters and kind of the story and the world that they're putting out there in this game looks interesting, but I don't know, man. Something about like the whole every single shot we get Star-Lord flying and shooting his guns and then flying and shooting his guns and then sliding and shooting his guns. It's like, okay, is that going to hold up for like a whole single player game?
Is it just bad trailer construction, or is it just the way the game is? Is the
Or
big
is it
question.
bad game construction?
Yeah.
Well, have you
It'll be
guys
interesting to
played
see the
Marvel
reviews.
Ultimate Alliance 3? Have you guys played that?
I have.
Not yet.
What'd you think about it, Elijah?
I didn't like it at all.
I didn't really like it either.
Because it's
I
more like a
liked
top-down, right?
Yeah.
Like a
I
Diablo
liked Ultimate
type.
Alliance 1 and 2. I did not like 3. It felt very different to me. The next game we have is actually one I'm super excited for. It's the announcement of Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt coming to PS5. This is the free-to-play battle royale game that, the way I perfectly describe it, because I played the alpha and it's currently in early access on PC. This game is not great, but I have a total blast with it because it does so many unique and interesting things in it that it keeps me hooked. Like, there are multiple different like factions you can be, and each one has its own special like powers and abilities, and there are 4 different blood types in the game. So as you're going around, you can find, like, on the map, you can find these people with these blood types, and if you like drink from them, you'll get a special, like, a kind of ability. So it might be like your one type of ability has a cooldown of -5%, and then if you find another of that same type, you can drink their blood again, and it'll be, now this ability's cooldown is 10%, and different stuff like that. Different little, one of the factions, their one ability is to basically turn to a bunch of birds and like stealthily fly somewhere to like get out of danger, and their other ability is to send out a pack of birds to basically annoy somebody. So like, while you're shooting at them, they have to deal with trying to see through these birds, and the birds like hurting them just minutely, but enough to like have them say, I need to take care of this. And it's really interesting the way it plays out. It takes enough and changes the formula to make it feel fresh, even if it's not great. And it kept me hooked the entire time.
It looks pretty interesting. I mean, the only thing I'll say about the trailer is it looks pretty janky. But
it's definitely janky.
To be fair, like thinking back to how like PUBG was when it first came out was kind of a rough experience as far as like the quality and kind of consistency of the game.
Just like that game, this game is in early access.
Right.
So the more, and like I played the alpha, there were so little people in the alpha that for the 3 nights I was playing it, I saw the same people multiple times. So, well, I wonder if they just didn't hand out all that many because of servers and such. But maybe this will give the chance for it to really change into a better form of itself. But I'm really excited. Like I said, I enjoyed my time with it. And the one thing I was like, man, I hope it comes to console. And I looked and it was like, we have no plans to bring this to console. Well, crap. Looks like I'm playing a PC game. And then we got this announcement. The next thing we got shown, trailer number 8, 9, 10, 15, I don't know, for Deathloop. I am so happy this game is out now, just so we see no more trailers at shows.
Reviewed
I'm buying
really,
this game
really
on
well.
Friday. This game looks incredible. I don't understand why people are so down on it.
I have zero interest in this game, but I'm super happy it's reviewing well because I'm glad people like it. I have no interest in it.
It looks like if Dishonored and BioShock like had a baby. Like it looks.
You named one great game there.
Yeah, Dishonored. Yeah, it's great.
No, I'm not quite.
Yeah.
I
think the game looks incredible, and it's like a crying shame that like these guys will never get to make a PlayStation game ever again.
Yeah. It looks fantastic, and I really want it. It's just I'll probably what I'll end up doing is waiting for Black Friday. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
Bethesda games go on sale just like Bandai Namco games. So the next thing that got shown off is very interesting. Kid Amnesia exhibition
Oh hell yeah!
the Radiohead thing.
I love Radiohead. I'm so in. This looks great. I don't even know what this is, but like, yeah, I'll be there for it.
That's where I was. I was like, I don't know what the hell this is. I don't know what I just watched.
I got so excited because I was trying to think like, what game would start off with like, is this Kid A? Like, what game would start off with like a Kid A track? And I was just like, oh, it's Kid A.
Gotcha. Be right here, an upside-down digital/analog universe created from original artwork and recordings to commemorate 21 years of Radiohead's Kid A and Amnesiac. I don't know what I just read.
I don't know either, but I'm in. Like,
Big
I'm gonna check
words.
it out.
The next game, I don't know. I don't remember how to pronounce it. It's like Chia or something like that. It's the open world game where it looked like you play as this girl in a tropical kind of environment.
Well, Polynesian setting.
Yeah, doing things.
She could like transform into animals, right? Like she could like take on like the body of like a turtle and like would use different animals to like puzzle solve.
She had played Dishonored beforehand.
Take control of any animal or object you can find.
Yeah.
And jam on your fully playable ukulele. I forgot about that. All right, now I'm interested.
Yeah, that part was cute.
Yeah, it was really adorable. Next up, we got the announcement of, and this is going to go poorly. I can already see it. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. Now, the reason I can see it going poorly, it is a collection of Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy for PlayStation 5 and PC, which is great. But from what I have heard, if you own both games, you need to rebuy this collection because it's a collection of both games and they're not separate.
Yeah. That's one I won't be purchasing.
I also have zero interest just because I'm kind of over Uncharted, honestly.
Well, let's be real. This was a PC port that they said, screw it, let's just throw it on PlayStation.
The weird thing about this, though, is okay, that's awesome. They're getting 4 and Lost Legacy. What about the first 3 games that you literally pretty much have to play for 4? It's like,
look,
okay,
I'm just sitting over here hoping we at some point see what was the Vita one called again?
Golden Abyss.
Yeah, that game was fantastic. That might be my favorite Uncharted game.
That's my second favorite one.
What was your favorite?
3. I think 3 is fantastic.
Yeah, I think so too.
So
really
developers have done that. Remember, first of all, The Last of Us, you had to buy the remaster on PS4, and it released,
but there was no backwards compatibility.
There was no backwards compatibility at the time.
Okay. And then also, well, that's true because of the PS3, but also remember for the 360, the Gears series, and then they only remastered the first one, and everyone's like, well, what about 2 and 3?
Yep.
So
I just recently replayed through the first 3 Gears of Wars. 2 and 3 look fantastic even without the remaster.
Yeah, they do.
Like 2's the best one.
I agree. 2 is the best one.
3 was just like, remember we were playing it, Austin? We're like, let's just get through this,
Yeah, when you get on that Brumac,
like, hell yeah.
You get on that Brumac at the end of 2, you're just lighting it up down in that little lambent hole. Oh my god, so good.
One thing I just want to mention quick is, and like Coach brought it up, everyone's upset about this like paying to upgrade to like PS5 version of a game or that, and it's like last gen, whether it be Xbox 360 to Xbox One or PS3 to PS4, that didn't exist. And like even on 360 where there was backwards compatibility for most games, it just didn't exist. You had to buy the game. Certain companies would do a thing where if you bought the game digitally, you could pay $10 to upgrade and you would lose the ability to play that last gen one.
Yeah.
And it's like, this didn't exist. And I'm not saying, it shouldn't exist or whatever. I'm just saying, I don't know why everyone's all surprised about this when it did not, it was like, people did not act like this last time.
I think it's mostly because like Xbox seems to be bending over backwards for its customers in a way that Sony is not. And so by Xbox constantly doing it and by Sony like not even acknowledging it, they just kind of look like Like I don't think what they're doing is wrong.
Well, I get that.
I just think they look like jerks about it. You know?
I guess what I'm saying is like not even just for like the Sony ones, but like for every game.
Sure. Yeah.
Like the whole, if we bought the last one, we should get the new one, like the newer version of it free. It was like last gen, that wasn't a thing. And all of a sudden now people are all upset about it. When
do you think it's a different generation?
I mean, it's
people
possible.
Complaining about it and just people feeling entitled, like they should just be getting free stuff.
I think it's that last part because, and honestly, I think social media plays a big part in it because it's much bigger now than it was then. So now everybody can use their internet voice to be like, we deserve this. And before it was everyone just kind of sitting in the house, but we deserve this.
And then go talk to the 5 Wii U owners, seeing all their games being remastered with very little
for $60.
Yes. I mean,
I think
it's okay. They got
Donkey
Mass
Kong
Effect
Country
3.
Tropical Freeze never go on sale. That is funny.
I think that my issue with all this is not so much the charging, it's just the complete lack of consistency between the publishers and developers. I mean, there's just no consistency whatsoever.
Dude, like, sorry, back to the Wii U for a second. Austin, you're 100% right. That is super frustrating.
Yes.
But, like, if you bought something on Wii, you were able to transfer it to your Wii U, no problem. But, like, to play it on your gamepad, you had to, like, pay an extra $1 like, to unlock NES games
the
on
virtual,
your gamepad.
Yeah, the virtual console.
Like, it's just like, okay, guys, like, you're being petty at this point.
Big time.
I don't think $20 upgrade is petty. I think $1 upgrade is petty as hell. It's like, oh, if you're charging me $1 for this, you could just as easily not charge me $1 for this.
And those emulators were horrible too.
Yeah, on Wii U.
Yeah. Well, the Game Boy
the
Advance
gamepad.
was good.
The N64 one was abysmal.
Yeah. So, it's so funny is that gamers, and tell me if I'm wrong, but gamers want to say, but the developers, right? And so if you get something, you should pay for it, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I don't mind if I have to give in a little bit. It's not that big a deal, but on Xbox, we don't have to do that. So, and I haven't been in a situation where I've had to do that on PlayStation yet.
Well, and like a lot of people were like, why do we have to pay for the Ghost of Tsushima upgrade and the Death Stranding actually more so the Ghost of Tsushima one? And it's like, well, I mean, these developers are going back and putting in more work to do stuff to the game, and you just want these developers to go back and do more work for free. And it's like, they're doing more than just saying, all right, we're going to set this, just move the slider from 1080 to 21. Slide along. There we go. It's done. They're doing much more than that. And like the big one that comes to mind is Metro Exodus. Metro Exodus, we should not have gotten for free. We absolutely should not have.
I'm sure Microsoft paid him, though. I'm almost positive Microsoft paid him. They had to do something.
Why would Microsoft have done it, though?
I don't know.
Because Microsoft has nothing to do with that studio.
Did that same upgrade happen on the PS5?
Yep. And PC. That was such a major upgrade. And it's like, I want to buy another copy of that game on a system, like, even if I don't plan on playing it, just because, like, I feel like I should give them money for that upgrade they did. Because they did so much to that game.
Well, I guess, did they add content, or what was the upgrade?
They completely revamped not just the visuals, but, like, the whole lighting system was redone from scratch.
Ray tracing.
And, like, no, it's not even just ray tracing. Like, even without ray tracing, all of the lighting is, like, brought in from a realistic source now. Like, they completely redid the lighting in that game.
Well, you got to remember about these guys. These guys are insane developers. Like, they push the bar. Like, of course, Crysis was always the benchmark, but for a while, Metro Last Light was the benchmark for PC gaming because they set the tone. So something like this, remember, they came out in an interview and they were talking, even before they announced that they were going to do it, that they would be like, man, with all this technology, this would be amazing to just go in and upgrade and just kind of just really exploded,
I just know, like, even in that situation, they do all that and people would still be like, but we got this other one upgrade for free. It's like that other one didn't do even remotely as much.
Yeah.
These guys probably put in so many extra hours to do this, and people just expected it to be free.
Did
And
Arkham
like
Knight
last gen,
get
that wasn't a thing.
Did Arkham Knight get that upgrade also?
No, Arkham didn't get any upgrades for this new gen at all. But like that was just one thing that got to me is this past gen, you had to buy the new versions of the game straight up, and just nobody cared. Everyone was fine with it.
And I get that, Elijah, but I mean, it's been 7 years. I mean, things have changed. So
I'm not
just
saying
don't,
they have. I'm
I
just
don't know
saying
that that's a good.
everyone acts like this was always a thing when it wasn't. And it's just, I don't know, it just upsets me. Like I said, especially seeing people act certain ways towards developers because they feel entitled. And I think it's this new social media generation we're in.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, I think we need to kind of wrap this up, though, to move on after this. But the last thing I'll say is a lot of the free ones, I mean, to me, if it's if this game is multi-plat, it's on PC, and literally what they're doing is taking the PS4 version and just setting the settings to max or whatever on PC.
Yeah, that I agree with.
Those games should be free upgrades. I'm sorry, but those should not be paid. That's my last thing I'm saying.
No, that I completely agree with. I
also,
think
if
it's
your game was busted as
situation.
hell on the last system, and you managed to make it run the way it should, yeah, that should probably be free too.
Maneater, free upgrade.
Exactly.
That one should have been a free upgrade. It worked out good.
Maneater, Control. I stopped playing Control not because I didn't want to keep playing it, but because it just ran like on my PlayStation.
But like the Joker said, if you're good at something, you should get paid for it.
That's true.
Speaking of getting paid for it, and if you're good at something, Marvel's Wolverine. I have nothing to say to this, so you guys take it.
I mean, it's awesome.
There was no gameplay.
Yeah.
Bro.
Wolverine is the Marvel character I care about least, so I have no interest in this whatsoever.
I love
it's cool.
I love Wolverine. I'm sure they're gonna make like an awesome, fun game. I have no doubt that Insomniac is gonna just do a great job. I don't know. It's fine. Like
it's from the team that made Miles.
It's hard for me to comment on this because it's like, what, we're going to get this game in like 2024?
That's my biggest issue with all these games that we've seen so far. It's like, cool, I can't wait to play these in 2 years.
Sometime, yeah.
You know what would be funny if it comes out, let's say 2024, 3 years, right? And I know they just announced it, so we don't know how long they've been working on it, but you got to think that they kind of just started it. But think of Metroid Prime 4, man. Is that game ever
out before then? It'll be out before that game.
Exactly.
Bayonetta 3.
You know what could really turn all this Blizzard Activision stuff around? StarCraft Ghost. They've been working on it for 20 years. It's about time that game comes out.
And they get a special N64 release.
Yeah.
But games that you can play sooner rather than later, Gran Turismo 7 coming in March. I'm all in.
It looks really good.
I'm really Gran Turismo game I ever played was PSP.
Oh man,
what a game! I am
incredibly excited for this.
And they brought back the
map.
Badass operatic music from Gran Turismo 4 for this one. So I'm like, all right, even better. After that,
gun to your head. Sorry, gun to your head. Gran Turismo 7, Forza Horizon 4.
Oh, Forza, no doubt.
Forza, right. I'm sorry.
I'll always pick Gran Turismo in that one just because I prefer like track racing over
open world
what Horizon is. So but if you were to say Gran Turismo 7 or the new Forza Motorsport, I think Forza is a much better game. I just prefer the style of game Gran Turismo 7 is to what Forza Horizon is.
I just
think
miss
Forza Horizon is going to be amazing.
I miss turn of the century Japanese games. Like they were just so eclectic and weird, and I feel like the language has been kind of like broadened by them to like be more appealing to Western audiences. But what I liked about them at the time, like Ridge Racer R2, like how Japanese that game was, like that felt like culture was just punching me in the face, and I was just so excited about it. And now everything feels so like westernized, where I'm just
R Racing Evolution.
Yeah. I sent the ad for that game in the Slack because I was like bagging up old comics the other day.
I have that game actually right here on my Xbox shelf.
Good stuff. All right, yeah. Sorry, let's burn
Next
through this.
up, we have got Marvel's Spider-Man 2, which I still think it was way too early to show this game off.
I agree.
Well, again, they didn't show anything.
Well,
It's just,
but I think it was just way too early because like we just got Wolverine, now we have this, so everyone's like, all right, so they're making 2 games. And it's not so much that they couldn't make 2 games, it's that now the public is like, all right, but they're making 2 games because a lot of people don't realize how game development actually is and that studios have multiple teams.
Well, Insomniac is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a humongous.
They're an
developer.
army at this point.
Didn't Spider-Man come out in like what 2017?
2018.
All right, 3 years or
Ratchet
I'd
and
say
Clank.
2 years plus. Okay, yeah, that's a fair point.
So, because I'm pretty sure the team that made Spider-Man made Ratchet and Clank. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe so.
Okay, but like it's not like they're gonna change the city. So like I think like that is like a huge component to it. It's like you gotta write story, you gotta do character models for the new characters and all that stuff. And you gotta like they did a really good job, I think, especially like in Miles Morales, of like creating boss fights within established geometry, like within like certain spaces.
Yeah.
So like obviously I think they're gonna have to do that, but like I feel like the city had to be the hard part, right? Like creating a life like New York, definitely. And like you can just go in and like add more stuff to make it more living. But like
I just think for this being a 2023 game, and especially for a game that we knew that was happening, like they shouldn't have shown it yet. Show it next year and be like, it's for next year. I'm like, all right, awesome. But there's the same thing. I shouldn't even say the same thing because like when they showed off, for example, Suicide Squad, it was 2022. At least we didn't know about that game yet. So now we're like, all right. And same with Gotham Knights. Like we didn't know about this game. Now we know it's a thing. Spider-Man 2 was always, all right, we know this is going to happen. Now we're seeing the trailer. Oh, and it's 2 more years away.
But see, I'm okay with that because 2 years go fast. There's so many games that's going to be released, and you got to think about it. If they say it's 2 years away, so they announce it at the end of or the last part of 2021, 2022 at E3 or whatever event they're going to go to, they show off gameplay, and then the next year they really show off. I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't think it's
keep in mind in the Slack during the showcase, we had like people saying, man, remember when they announced Fallout 4 and then it came out 4 months later? And I was like, that's what most people I know want is show us a game. And even if you don't show us a date right away, be like have them be like, this game is pretty much coming out in like 6 to 8 months. Because then it's not one of those like, all right, we have this and now just waiting.
But also it's a good time because Venom movie's coming out. Spider-Man's going to be coming out. So I think it's okay. Like I don't see
now
any
you're going to have all the time. But are they going to show Spider-Man here? Are they going to show Spider-Man here? Are they going to show Spider-Man here? Every time they do anything. Random state of play. You think they'll show Spider-Man? I was like,
yeah, but I mean that's every company though, Elijah.
Yeah,
I mean,
why do you? Sorry, Austin. Can I swear? We're late enough in the podcast that I feel like I can swear.
Sure.
Why do you give it? Why do you give it if people are wondering if Spider-Man's going to show up? Like, how's that any skin off your back?
I don't like when they show games like super early that we already know about. And it's like, okay, but we knew about this game. This trailer told us nothing we didn't know, and it's just like, all right, but keep waiting.
Well,
right.
I mean, it kind of did. It teased Kraven, and that's like pretty awesome. So
I don't know who that is.
Kraven the Hunter?
I still don't know who that is.
Read a book, you jock.
Just like how I didn't know who Haley Atwell was.
It's embarrassing.
I mean, overall, though, I think with this, I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for it. It's just that long wait, and I think we'll talk about it too at the next game. But my overall problem with this conference is every big thing. Yeah, every single game they showed.
And that's
this was
the
great
other reason.
A great 2024 E3. Like a phenomenal 2024 E3.
That's the other reason I don't think they should have showed it yet. Is it just added fuel to the but
what have you done for me? What have you done for me lately?
Yeah. And that's why, like, all right, but I think we saw 3 games in this entire conference we're playing in the next 12 months.
We didn't even see your Sana Bridge of Spirits or whatever that
Kina?
game's called. Kina.
I was hoping for Little Devil Inside.
Yeah, wasn't that game supposed to come out in July?
Yeah, it was.
Tight.
So it's funny how trends change, right? Because I think that's going to be the trend now, is where they're going to tease a game 2 years before it actually gets released. But going back into the music industry, the 70s, bands had albums released every year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then in the 80s, it was 2 years. And then when you got into the 90s, now you're talking about 2 years, like 3 years. So the time between release was a little bit longer, right?
Taylor Swift released 2 albums last year.
That's Taylor Swift, though. But anyways, I'm talking rock. And so I think that this might be the new trend, which, I mean, is cool. Like, I'm not going to be sitting there like, oh, I wonder when the next trailer is or anything like that. I saw it. It looks cool. So in a couple of years, we'll have something good to play. More like probably 3 years, because I'm sure it'll get. Did Spider-Man get delayed, or were they on time with it?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Did Ratchet?
I want to say they were pretty much on time.
Did Ratchet get delayed?
Like, Insomniac's pretty good about hitting deadlines.
Yeah. But the last game they showed was God of War Ragnarok. It's more God of War. Looks great.
Can we not talk? I'm still playing the 2018 one. Can we not talk about the story details revealed?
Yes,
I will
please.
say I've seen a lot of discourse about Fat Thor, and I think if you really give an opinion, just shut up.
Well,
shut up.
And I feel like people that are complaining about that have not dug into Norse mythology at all.
People who complain about that think that Thor from Marvel is the way Thor should look.
Right.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the dude had a flying chariot that was hauled by 2 goats named Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder. I don't think cardio is super high on his list of priorities, but what it was? Raping, pillaging, and drinking mead.
Oh,
so I'm pretty sure this guy would
Thor.
have a paunch. Yeah.
No, God of War Ragnarok looks good.
When was the release date?
They didn't give one.
Not even a year?
Nope.
So 2023 then, I bet. I mean, in 2 years.
Well, they were saying next year.
Yeah.
But they didn't clarify.
Originally last year, they said this year. So
it was
I'm willing
supposed
to
be
chalk that
year.
one up to COVID. Same thing with Horizon. I think those are going to be the 2 tentpole games.
Yeah. I think this actually will be next fall.
Year.
Yeah.
Which makes me think
3, Sir Gran Turismo.
Oh, that's right. That's actually the one I'm most excited for. So
but I think overall, both Microsoft and Sony, that momentum, even though it's still a pain in the butt to try and get a PS5 or an Xbox, that momentum of games is starting. We're starting to see that right now, So it's exciting to know that in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to be getting these amazing games. And don't rush it. Mm-hmm. Don't rush, because how many times are, when games are in the first couple of years of each system where they look great and everyone's all excited and they're crap, Yeah. So just take your time, do the right thing, and, so.
But that's all we have for you tonight, folks. We want to hear from you. What were the favorite things you saw at the PlayStation Showcase? What were you interested in? What questions do you have? You can write to us at frameskippq
Notepad
bit.ly bit.ly/frameskipq,
that one, or at frameskippod on Twitter, and we'll see what Coach says. Make sure to catch us on any podcatcher of your choice or on YouTube at the Frameskip channel. You can find us on Twitter. Austin is at Austin J. Eller. Coach is at frameskippod. Seth is at Seth the 90s Kid. Don't follow him. George is at GB Loftus.
Purple Bird 616.
Purple Bird 616. Don't follow you?
No, you can follow that one.
Okay, follow that one. You can find me at Local Lizard Man, and I also stream on Twitch. And this Friday, I am starting Shadow Hearts, which I've wanted to play. So this is going to be a fun weekend. Boys, is there anything else you want to say before we finish?
Yeah, as soon as Sony folds PlayStation Now into PlayStation Plus and starts getting a couple games to release on it for free, I think the conversation is going to be a lot more fair because like what's that game? Ghost Runner? Is that like the rhythm first person shooter game you like so much?
I mean, it was an okay game, but yes, that's probably
okay. Like that's like on PlayStation now. You can download that to your PlayStation 4.
I really like it.
Oh, okay. Well, it looked interesting at the very least, but like I don't know. I think games that you're curious about but aren't sure about, that's like the perfect PlayStation Now game.
I
That's
agree.
like the perfect Game Pass game.
PlayStation Now doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah, I was looking through it the other day. It's amazing. They've got like over 400 games that you can just download. Like they got 4 times as many games as Xbox, but Xbox is just better at marketing. So that's my final word for the night.
Okay, I have a final word. If you thought God was not real, you need to change your mind because the Nintendo Switch now has Bluetooth audio support. That's all I'm saying.
I also thought you were just randomly going to say iridescent and then not say anything else.
I thought you were just going to talk about God and be like, oh, man.
Well, Austin changed on us. So thanks, folks. And until next week, it all starts with a dead girl.
What?